their schedule and all this stuff. Listen, the Kentucky Wildcats are not supposed to be 1-6 no matter who they play. I mean, they could be playing, Gonzaga and Carolina, Duke, Kansas, Michigan State. I mean, whoever is, ranked at the top of the standings or the rankings, you could be playing them. You still shouldn't be 1-6, Mr. Calipari. So stop making excuses. Stop talking about the schedule and get on to coaching these young men into winning some basketball games. Doesn't matter who they're playing. They're not playing the pros, are they? All right, well then get on with it. Get this team to be fundamentally sound. Usually, since John Calipari, excuse me, since John Calipari took over at Kentucky, they've had a lot of one-and-done players. Kentucky has. And those teams have been relying really on the athletic ability of the great players that are one and done. For those of you who don't know what that means, it means the player is so good that he only plays one season in college and then he moves on to the pros. And Kentucky has had more one and done players probably in the last, I don't know how long Calipari's been the coach, but probably since he's been the coach, last 10 years or so. They've won the national championship one time with John Calipari as the coach, and they've gotten close. They've been to the Final Four a couple more times and lost the national championship game, I think, one time. So they've been right there at the precipice of multiple national championships. They actually only won one since Calipari, but it's very unusual and very unheard of for the Kentucky Wildcats to be 1-6. So we'll keep an eye on that. Right now, we're going to take a short break, and we'll be right back.
And now, without further ado, the man we've all been waiting for, T-Jam D. Welcome back to the show.
Yes! And we're back. Anyway, we was just talking some sports. I wanted to mention that the college football playoffs, I don't know if I mentioned this last time, but I'm going to mention it. The college football playoffs have all the teams set and ready. Number one team is Alabama. They're making their annual appearance in the college football playoffs. Alabama, coached by Nick Saban, has had a fantastic run. They've been very good. They've won multiple national championships since Nick Saban has become the coach. And once again, they're in the college football playoffs, and they're the number one seed. Clemson is number 2 seed in the college football playoffs. Ohio State is number 3, which the controversy is about Ohio State because they only played 6 games. They've played 5 regular season games because of COVID. They've had 3 games, I think it was, canceled because of COVID. And they won their Big Ten championship game. And they're in the playoffs. And that's the number 3 seed, not even number 4, but number 3. To me, it would stand to reason that if they were barely making the playoffs, that they'd be the number 4 seed, not number 3. But Notre Dame is the number 4 seed. They lost their championship game, the ACC championship game, to Clemson. And they're number 4. So Notre Dame will be playing Alabama in the college football playoffs. Ohio State and Clemson will play each other for the second year in a row. And to make it interesting, Dabo Swinney has been talking crap about the Buckeyes. He said they shouldn't be there. They hadn't played enough games to be considered for the college football playoffs, which really is not up to him. He has nothing to do with who they select. I mean, the man can have his opinion. He's entitled to his opinion, but no one cares really about the coach's opinion about the selections. Okay, you don't get to choose who you're going to play against. Just be happy you're there and then shut up. And that's really all you got to do, Mr. Swinney. Dabo Swinney in his coaches poll, because they give the coaches a poll, he ranked Ohio State as number 11. So I'm expecting the Buckeyes to come out full force. You know what I mean? To come out hard, to come out ready to play hard, because they should be pissed off at Coach Swinney for saying all this dumb shit about him. And he should know better, but maybe he just doesn't respect the Buckeyes. Maybe he just thinks it doesn't matter what I say about these guys. There ain't nothing they can do about it. But that's probably wrong, because they're big, strong, fast young men, and you know, they got some of the best players in the nation on this Buckeye team, and they got a good coach. And they're going to come hard. That's probably going to be motivating for the Buckeyes, that he's said all of this stupid shit. But Dabo Swinney is a good coach, but he's a jackass, though. The man, he's a straight up jackass. And these comments that he made about the Buckeyes are just proof of him being a jackass. The guy supports OAN. Seen him wearing some dumb t-shirt about OAN News, which that's some Trump supporting news network, news network, OAN. No one else has really heard of it. They just made their bones off of supporting Trump and him talking about how great they are, which they're really not great. They suck and are just flat lying in the broadcast. But Dabo Swinney has decided, to publicly say things about the Buckeyes that are disparaging. So you can be assured that they're going to come out trying to prove a point, that not only do they belong in the college football playoffs, but they're going to bust ass. That's what I expect. I don't know what's going to happen. Obviously, they might come out flat and get blown away, but that's not likely when athletes are motivated because something the other coach or players or the media has said. Then that usually results in them coming out playing hard. And Dabo knows that, but like I said, maybe he just doesn't respect the team enough to care about it. Maybe, or he's overconfident in his team because they blew Notre Dame out once they had their quarterback back in. The quarterback was out because of COVID for a couple of weeks, and they happened to play Notre Dame. The first game they played them, it was a regular season game. Played Notre Dame, and and lost in overtime without their quarterback. Clemson did. So when they played Notre Dame in their ACC championship game, they had their quarterback back, and they blew Notre Dame out. So maybe that's what's giving Dabo his confidence to say all the ridiculous nonsense that he said about Ohio State. But we're going to find out what happens. I really hope the Buckeyes put a beat down on them. I can't imagine that actually happening, because we've seen, those of you who have watched any of these college football games or watched the Buckeyes, like I have, we've seen Justin Fields look like he doesn't know what he's doing out there on the field. And that's only with like one receiver not playing. Chris Olave didn't play, and Fields looked lost. Then they magically discovered their running game, and that's how they won that Big Ten championship game. But my perspective, I know Justin Fields was a Heisman Trophy candidate, and also projected to be a high draft pick. I would not draft Justin Fields very high myself. I would not do it. Because I've watched a lot of Buckeye games with him as the quarterback, and he's athletic. He throws a good ball, but he's like a robot. You know, this guy has all the plays memorized, and he runs the play. There's no room for improvising unless he's going to run the ball. Like if the receiver's not open, he'll throw he'll throw it anyway to the guy. And sometimes these receivers break off of a pattern because they're not open. Those balls are usually intercepted because Justin Fields has no room for improvising. Like a lot of quarterbacks, when they see that the play is not going to work, they just do whatever they feel like is going to work, like throw it to a guy who's open instead of just running the play and throwing the ball where it's supposed to go. Justin Fields doesn't do that, so I can't really imagine Buckeyes are going to beat Clemson that bad, but I think they'll be motivated because of the ridiculously dumb comments that Dabo Swinney made. If there's anything that we've learned about sports, those of us who follow sports, is that players get motivated, coaches get motivated, they're human beings, and when someone says something bad about you, you can't help but to get motivated and try to prove them wrong. So hopefully that's what the that's what the Buckeyes are doing. Moving on. The Pittsburgh Steelers are a team that was 11-0, and me, in my neck of the woods, I live in Ohio, but I grew up with a lot of Steeler fans. I don't know how so many people in Ohio became Steeler fans, but they are. So I'm constantly arguing with a lot of Steeler fans, jerk off jackasses, and things of that nature. Some of my best friends are Steeler fans. But anyway, the Steelers were 11-0, and all I was hearing all season is undefeated this and undefeated that, which I kept thinking, you're not undefeated. Undefeated is a term that is preserved for a team that wins all their games, at least of the regular season. You're not undefeated when you're 1-0. Undefeated. We're undefeated. No, you're unbeaten. Okay, unbeaten is that you've won 2 or 3 or 5 or 10 or 11 You were unbeaten because the season's not over. If you win